You carry a weight that feels final, a profound vacuum left exactly where pure, unconditional joy once resided. You believe the overwhelming ache in your chest is the necessary, bitter cost of having loved so deeply. The cold, empty residue left behind the moment your beloved companion crossed the threshold we call the rainbow bridge. That deep, isolating sorrow feels like a closed chapter, permanently sealed by silence and irrevocable grief. But I must invite you to look closer at that pain, to treat it not as an injury, but as information. What if the unbearable weight of that absence, the very quality of your profound sorrow, is not an ending at all, but the active, pulsating anchor of an ongoing spiritual conversation? What if your deep sense of mourning is, in fact, the most highly tuned receptor your soul possesses, proving that the bond has merely shifted dimensions, not dissolved? Your logical self, that fiercely protective guardian demanding empirical documentation and measurable reality, is already resisting this declaration. It wants to categorize this enduring feeling as simple melancholy, clinical grief, or perhaps sentimental projection, X. It desperately strives to convince you that the silence is absolute, that the communication is unequivocally over. It tells you to find closure, to move on. But that practical voice is operating on old terrestrial maps, ignoring the laws of spiritual physics. I must guide you past that simplistic categorization. What we are discussing here is not mere emotional decay or fantasy. It is signal transference, a sacred frequency that the soul recognizes even when the mind is skeptical. Why? I invite you now into the astonishing wisdom of Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet who charted the deepest currents of the soul's eternal journey. Cayce understood that true love never suffers a failure of transmission. He revealed that the intense, magnetic, and often utterly perfect bond forged between a human and their companion animal is not subject to the grave. It is not something that can be cut by physical death. It is a spiritual tether, a permanent fiber of light that cannot be severed. Are you prepared to acknowledge that the depth of your current feeling is the evidence of its ongoing presence? Cayce left us a hidden key, 7 undeniable signs that prove this connection endures. These signs are visible only to those who possess the courage to see their grief not as a burden, but as an activated antennae, tuned precisely to the unique frequency of your dog's enduring love. These are not platitudes or wishful thinking. They are psychic fingerprints that manifest in your physical reality. Do you ever feel a sudden, inexplicable shift in the air, a presence so familiar and tangible, it feels like the phantom pressure of a warm body resting right beside you? Your grief, my friend, is not the proof of loss. It is the confirmation of the signal. We are about to unlock the language of the non-physical, using the 7 truths that confirm they never truly left. The struggle you face right now is deeply familiar to me. I know precisely what the cold, clinical voice of your highly trained analytical mind is currently whispering. It is telling you this entire endeavor is sentimental fantasy, psychological projection, or merely the desperate invention of a heart that refuses to let go. Your logic, that crucial guardian of reality, screams illusion. It insists that profound sorrow for a non-human companion must be categorized as excessive, irrational, perhaps even bordering on pathological. But I must urge you to hold steady right here. This is not pathology. This is the pure, unfiltered evidence of a soul contract fulfilled. We must honor this distinction, for the validation of your pain is the key that unlocks the door to receiving the signs. The world demands that grief be neat, quantifiable, and time-bound. It attempts to measure love with external metrics. But the unique geography of loss experienced after the passing of a deeply cherished animal companion resists these boundaries entirely. This space we occupy right now, this pause between the conventional and the miraculous, must be treated as a sanctuary, a sacred refuge where the rigid rules of the laboratory are temporarily suspended. We are not seeking proof in the external world. We are seeking validation in the internal reality of your love. Do you feel the deep, humbling courage required to hold this pain, not as a weakness to be overcome, but as the raw material of transformation? Edgar Cayce taught that universal consciousness operates through vibration, and love is the strongest, most cohesive vibration available. When you feel that sudden spike of acute missing, that heartbreaking lurch in your chest, understand that you are not merely recalling a passive memory. You are, in fact, tuning into the persistent, undeniable energetic signature of that soul, a resonance that cannot be dismantled simply by the cessation of breath. That intensity of longing is the very wire connecting you. This deep ache is not a mistake your body is making. It is the heart proving that the connection never frayed. We must grant the heart, the spiritual receiver, the authority it deserves. Your pain is not proof of weakness, X. It is the confirmation of an unbroken signal, Y. This recognition, this validation of your sacred pain, is the crucial entry point. Without honoring the depth of the wound, your protective logical mind will automatically filter out and dismiss the 7 precise signs we are about to explore, rationalizing every miracle as coincidence. Will you choose courage over convenience and trust the emotional compass that only your love can provide, thus preparing the ground for the physical manifestation of their continued presence? The choice you make, courage over convenience, demands a foundation strong enough to bear the weight of such profound grief and hope. This spiritual anchor exists, meticulously documented not by theologians or speculative philosophers, but by a simple, extraordinary man from Kentucky, Edgar Cayce. I invite you now to grant authority to the voice that validated the deepest, most loving impulse inside your own heart. He was the architect of the invisible, the sleeping prophet, who over 4 decades of self-induced trance lay down to access the universal records, translating the cosmic operating system into plain English. When your logical mind begins searching for empirical evidence and established historical footnotes, know this: Cayce's work produced over 14,000 meticulously documented, cross-referenced readings, comprising the most exhaustive, peer-validated collection of psychic material in modern history. He was not guessing, he was providing a blueprint of the soul's journey. The revelation most pertinent to your current ache is the specific, repeated truth woven throughout these voluminous records concerning the animal kingdom. Cayce was definitive. The profound, selfless love you shared with your companion was not erased by the simple dissolution of the body. He repeatedly confirmed the operation of the group soul, a concept stating that while individual human consciousness embarks on independent reincarnation cycles, animals return as part of an overarching, evolving consciousness, constantly refining and returning for specific relational purposes. Your immediate internal reflex might be to categorize this group soul as simple, sentimental wish fulfillment, a comforting fairy tale invented for the heartbroken X. But I must guide you past that simplistic dismissal. Cayce explained this not as comfort, but as an essential spiritual law. Why? An energetic guarantee ensuring that the love and teaching exchanged between you and your pet created a permanent, open pathway. The purpose of your pet's presence was always connected to the acceleration of your own soul growth. If their assignment was to guide you, do you genuinely believe the universe would revoke their sacred contract just because their physical form dissolved? Consider the weight of 14,000 readings supporting the exact emotional certainty you feel in your own chest. Are you willing to grant credibility to a source that confirms the wisdom of your deepest bond? We must understand the group soul not as an ethereal, abstract cloud of energy, but as the powerful magnetic force that allows your specific personal animal companion to maintain the individual thread of connection directly to you. Now that we have established the undeniable authority validating your certainty, we must unlock the 7 precise, undeniable methods they are currently using to signal their continued presence. The undeniable foundational law of the spirit must first be established, the master key that governs all subsequent revelation regarding your cherished companion. You have already accepted the authority validating your certainty, but now we must confront the gravitational pull of loss itself, which attempts to reduce the magnificent cosmos of your relationship to mere tragic memory. Edgar Cayce gave us a principle so profound, it restructures our entire perception of existence. Nothing forged of pure, unconditional love can ever truly cease to be. Your heart, heavy with absence, often interprets separation as absolute finality, the cold, crushing weight of a physical void. Your pragmatic, skeptical mind already classifies the ache you feel as simple grief, a predictable psychological process demanding closure and moving on, X. But I ask you to radically reframe that deepest pain. That searing connection you still feel in moments of quiet reflection is not merely the fading imprint of a cherished memory or the lingering habit of years shared. It is the instantaneous, persistent thrum of a cosmic bridge. Why? Think of the energy that bound you two together, that specific, non-replicable signature of devoted trust, pure joy, and perfect comfort, not as a physical object suddenly shattered, but as a broadcast frequency. Death in this cosmological framework did not destroy the transmitter or the receiver. It only elevated the transmission speed far beyond the capability of your earthly five senses. Your animal companion did not vanish. They simply changed the dial. Do you believe, truly believe, that a bond forged in years of selfless, unadulterated affection could be less durable than a stone or a star? The great revolutionary promise revealed through the Cayce readings is that unconditional love, the sacred kind shared between a soul and its loyal companion, transcends the dimensions of matter. The individualized soul, you know, is not trapped in some vague, impersonal ether. It is merely vibrating on a plane where the interference of gravity, linear time, and visible light cannot corrupt the message. This love is a quantum entanglement. When one end of the particle is moved, the other end responds instantly, regardless of distance. If the love is the bridge, then recognizing the shift in frequency is the key to crossing it. We must cease searching for mere physical residue of their presence and start tuning the sacred instrument of your own awareness. To perceive them is not an act of wishful thinking or blind hope. It is the calculated spiritual consequence of understanding this master unbreakable rule. Now that you grasp the law governing your shared reality, we are finally ready to identify the 7 clear, unmistakable methods they are currently using to signal their continued, undeniable presence. The journey into genuine, undisputed spiritual certainty begins not with the tedious accumulation of external proofs, but with the quiet, overwhelming recognition of a truth already powerfully encoded within your soul. We have now established the unbreakable cosmic law that love is energy, and energy does not obey the linear physics of loss. And now, you must acknowledge the spiritual data your heart has been collecting long before your logical mind gave it permission to do so. You possess an internal certainty that functions as a silent, unwavering compass, constantly pointing toward their continued existence. The introduction of these 7 signs is the ultimate permission slip to stop questioning that deepest knowing. I understand the precise, debilitating argument your analytical brain is whispering right now, insisting on rationalization. This is merely the prolonged stage of grief. It is simple wish fulfillment. It is the predictable psychological mechanism attempting to cope with a profound, painful absence. Your logic insists that these deeply felt sensations, the sudden, inexplicable warmth on your feet, the clear, phantom tap, the certain presence felt just outside your peripheral vision, must be relegated to the realm of hallucination, emotional instability, or self-deception, X. But I must guide you past that cheap, predictable categorization. What you are experiencing is not denial or pathology. It is perfect spiritual detection. Why? It is your soul acting as a highly tuned receiving instrument capable of registering transmissions that the 5 dense physical senses have been trained to ignore. Edgar Cayce provided us with the 7 cardinal points on this cosmic map, the 7 unmistakable signals that are currently working to shatter the illusion of finality. These are not cryptic or complicated messages requiring secret language. They are simple, undeniable breadcrumbs dropped specifically into your path, designed to pierce the thick veil of doubt that your earthly training has erected. They are meant to confirm the profound certainty you already carry in your heart, forcing you to cease the exhausting search for external validation and finally, silently, declare, I know they are here, and I don't need to explain it. Think deeply on this. Have you ever felt the subtle shame of having to qualify your deepest certainty, beginning your explanation to others with, "I know this sounds completely crazy, but..." That reflexive self-qualification must end immediately. The sacred purpose of identifying these signs is not to give you mere information to file away. It is to fundamentally empower your identity as a conscious recipient of eternal communication. The signs are the confirmation that you are capable of perceiving beyond the ordinary frequencies of reality. Are you willing to stop apologizing for the certainty that feels like bedrock beneath your feet? We are about to strip away the layers of doubt, one clear sign at a time, beginning with the most visceral proof, the undeniable sign of scent. The first and most immediate proof that the soul retains its signature, its unique energetic fingerprint, is delivered through the senses you trust the least: scent and sound. There are moments when the veil thins so completely that the certainty is forced upon your physical senses, bypassing the critical mind entirely. You are standing in your kitchen, perhaps distracted by the mundane rhythm of making coffee, and suddenly, violently, you smell them. Not a ghost of a memory triggered by an old blanket or a favorite toy, but the rich, earthy, instantaneous scent of their coat, the very specific, unmistakable smell of their paws after a walk on wet grass, or the sweet musk of their breath close to your ear. Your logical self immediately rushes to judgment. It insists this sensory flood must be delusion, the desperate projection of a grieving mind, or perhaps a neurological trick of memory, X. But I ask you to look closer. Was the scent fleeting, or was it a full three-dimensional presence that lasted just long enough to anchor the absolute certainty? This is not mere memory. This is energetic resonance. Why? It is your companion's soul projecting its unique vibrational signature, a deliberate ripple in the pond of reality intended only for you. Have you ever experienced that impossible moment, turning your head sharply toward an empty space, absolutely convinced you just heard the familiar click-clack of their nails skipping across the wooden floor, only to find profound silence? The sound was too clear, too specific to be a mistake, yet physically untraceable. And then there is the second sign, the undeniable sensation of weight and touch. This is often the most difficult sign to discuss because it is so subtle, so easily dismissed as trivial. You are sitting on the couch, lost in thought, and you feel that familiar, comforting pressure, the slight, unmistakable shift of weight on your lap, or the subtle indentation on the mattress right beside your legs. It is not the settling of the house or the crinkle of the sheets, X. It is conscious contact. It is the soul maintaining its habitual physical geography, confirming that love defines space, even beyond the limitations of the body. Why? It is them, settling in as they always did, because to them, nothing essential has changed. Do you apologize for that sensation? Do you immediately shift your body to erase the feeling, afraid someone might witness this moment of grief-induced neurosis? Stop. This is not weakness, this is alignment. I urge you to recognize that when you feel the phantom weight, you are not simply experiencing a memory, you are receiving a loving, active communication. The task now is not to question the reality of the touch, but to sink into the profound identity of the person capable of receiving it. Feel that pressure and know you are a conscious recipient of eternal presence. The conscious recipient of eternal presence does not only receive active communication through touch. That communion extends into the deepest, most quiet architecture of your sleeping mind. It is absolutely necessary to transition your understanding of these profound nightly visits. I assure you, the moments you dismiss as mere processing of trauma or nostalgic recollection are frequently, in truth, sacred appointments. Your logical, protective mind, that crucial defense system, wants desperately to categorize these midnight movies as just memory loops or natural attempts to file away the pain of loss, X. But I ask you to re-examine the feel of these encounters. Are they flat, historical tapes playing in rewind, or are they rich, vibrant, two-way interactions that leave you with the unmistakable sensation of having just spent time with them, not merely thinking about them? This quality of interaction is the signature of the third sign, a real visit in the soul's backyard, where the rules of time and density are temporarily suspended. You wake up from this type of dream feeling utterly charged, updated, and fundamentally shifted by the presence you encountered. Do you not recognize the difference between dreaming of them and dreaming with them? The latter leaves behind a residual energy, a profound emotional certainty that transcends mere subconscious storytelling. This certainty, this inner resonance, is the unmistakable proof that you were not recalling the past. You were actively engaging in the eternal now. The fourth sign demands that we move from the internal world of dreams back into the solid, verifiable reality of the kitchen floor. Cayce often spoke of synchronicity, the universe winking at you, as the language of spirit making tangible contact. And nothing is more tangible or more challenging to the skeptical mind than the improbable appearance of a cherished item. Think now of the object you put away with meticulous care, the favorite squeaky toy, the specific collar, the blanket you folded and stored in the high cabinet. Where did you find that object next? I am not suggesting you simply misplaced your keys. We are speaking of an unmistakable spiritual breadcrumb, finding their mud-caked, forgotten leash precisely on the threshold of the room they were forbidden to enter, or seeing their worn-out tennis ball resting perfectly in the center of your pillow, days after you swore you deposited it deep inside the storage bin. Your pragmatic self will rush in immediately to offer mundane explanations: gravity, faulty memory, or perhaps the actions of another person, X. But in your heart, you know those explanations crumble under scrutiny. This is not carelessness. This is evidence of an intelligent, loving presence leaving a physical marker, a signal saying, "I am here, and I was just interacting with the world you inhabit." Why? The mystery is not how the object moved. The revelation is in acknowledging the profound sensitivity within you that allows you to notice and receive this divine, out-of-place gift. The transformation begins when you stop attempting to logically clean up the evidence and start consciously collecting these sacred pieces of confirmation. The energetic confirmation we seek rarely arrives as a crashing wave demanding attention. It manifests instead as a subtle, persistent ripple across the surface of reality, visible only to the heart attuned to profound spiritual sensitivity. If you have been consciously collecting those sacred pieces of confirmation, the misplaced object, the sudden scent of his familiar self, prepare yourself now for a shift in awareness, for we move from merely noticing the evidence to actively reading the environment he still influences. The fifth unmistakable sign, derived from the Cayce readings on soul continuity, is the profound ripple effect, the evidence of his lingering energy as witnessed by others who lack the human filtering mechanism, your new companion animals. Consider this scenario. You introduce a new dog or cat into your home, a creature that has never met your lost friend. Have you ever watched this animal pause mid-play, its ears twitching, its eyes tracking an empty space that you cannot perceive? It's not just a nervous reaction to a new environment, X. Your new pet is serving as a psychic barometer, sensing the gentle pressure left behind by a familiar, benign, energetic signature. Why? I am suggesting that they are recognizing the residual vibration of their predecessor, acknowledging a beloved, invisible elder statesman who still patrols the boundary lines of your living room. When the hair on their back slightly rises, or they retreat from an unseen presence, are you still attempting to logically dismiss it as merely a draft, or are you finally willing to admit that the air itself is being momentarily displaced by a force deeply known to the intuitive world of animals? This recognition prepares you for the sixth sign, the activation of an inner voice imbued with the exact clarity and innocence of your dog's gaze. We all possess intuition, that common, useful instinct that guides us away from bad decisions or towards financial opportunity, X. But what we are discussing now is fundamentally different. This is a voice of pure, unadulterated direction, striking you with the same deep, uncomplicated certainty that your dog used to communicate love or need. It is a guide that bypasses the ego, ignores cynicism, and speaks truths without judgment, because it carries the energetic purity of a soul whose existence was entirely defined by simple devotion and unconditional love. Why? This clarity manifests when you are faced with a complex human decision. Do you suddenly hear a simple, firm directive, often surprising you with its profound lack of anxiety? That sudden, gentle nudge, characterized by overwhelming acceptance and ease, is not merely your gut feeling. It is the direct spiritual transmission of your pet's essence, speaking to you with the same non-verbal, trusting wisdom that defined your 1,000 interactions when he was physically present. You know this voice because it sounds precisely like the silent promise in his eyes. The mystery is not whether you can hear this guidance, but whether you are brave enough to trust a voice that is so devoid of human complexity. I ask you now, are you mistaking this pure, clear direction for merely wishful thinking, or are you ready to act upon the guidance delivered by the most honest soul you have ever known? Stop waiting for celestial trumpets and start listening to the whisper of pure innocence guiding your steps. The final, most beautiful signal is the one your human heart will try hardest to push away. You have spent weeks, perhaps months, carrying the silent, heavy backpack of grief, feeling instinctively that the sustained intensity of your sorrow is the last measure of your enduring love. But I must guide you past this primal misunderstanding. The ultimate proof of your eternal connection is not the perpetuation of pain. It is the absolute, quiet cessation of it. This profound emerging lightness you feel, this deep current of unearned peace that washes over you at unpredictable moments, is not amnesia or indifference. Your logical mind, trained by a society that honors visible, prolonged mourning, will likely scream that this easing is a betrayal. The thought is immediate and sharp. Am I finally forgetting him? You are confusing this perfect enveloping acceptance for emotional closure or simple fatigue, X. This transformation, I assure you, is the sacred, unmistakable evidence that the spiritual agreement between your two souls has reached its perfect culmination, Y. Edgar Cayce taught us that souls yearn for resolution, not for perpetual bondage to earthbound sadness or guilt. Imagine your connection was a luminous rope stretched taut across a wide, dark river. Grief was the tension, the strain, the painful certainty of attachment. Now, the rope slackens. This sublime, overwhelming feeling of gratitude, a warmth that replaces the stabbing ache of loss, is the direct transmission from your companion, a message broadcast across the completed energetic circuit. You are released. I am whole. Our love is the bridge, not the barrier. Have you noticed the quiet shift, almost imperceptible at first? Have you caught yourself laughing, truly laughing, without the immediate accompanying crash of guilt waiting for you on the other side? We often believe that our suffering is the necessary price we must pay for the depth of our bond. Yet the greatest gift you can give a transitioning soul is permission to move freely, without the anchor of your unresolved pain. When the last remnants of self-blame, the nagging, "Did I do enough? Did I wait too long?" finally dissolve, replaced by a radiant, almost startling sense of fulfillment, know this: your companion's presence has accomplished its final mission within your life. He has used the pure energy of your unified love to transmute your guilt into ultimate grace. This is the seventh seal, the ultimate affirmation of freedom and perfected love. Stop fighting the relief. Stop looking for the storm. The connection is proven not by the thunder, but by the undeniable arrival of the sun. You are not a mourner who has finally healed. You are now a channel of reciprocal freedom. What are you waiting for to fully embrace this profound, liberating tranquility that confirms your eternal bond is not merely preserved, but perfected? This peace is not an ending. It is the fertile ground for the next form of your shared destiny. The profound tranquility you have attained, that recognition that your eternal bond is not merely preserved, but perfected, now demands a deliberate practice. The spiritual realm operates not on hope or wishful thinking, but on vibrational resonance. I want you to understand that the physical location your companion loved most is not merely a memorial, but an established energetic anchor, a permanent portal for your ongoing communication, waiting for you to simply tune in. Tonight I invite you to perform the ritual of the empty chair. Your pragmatic mind, that logical entity driven by empirical evidence, is already trying to classify this act as morbid nostalgia or a simple coping mechanism designed to prolong justifiable grief, X. But I assure you, what we are approaching here is neither pathology nor sentimentality. It is the sophisticated use of energetic architecture, Y. You are not seeking the ghost of what was, you are activating the living frequency of what is. Go to that specific place, the sunbeam they always sought, the corner of the couch they claimed as theirs, the foot of the bed where they always slept. Do not sit there carrying the heavy sack of your lingering sorrow. Grief is dense, slow, and sinks the transmission. Instead, understand that Edgar Cayce taught us repeatedly that gratitude is the highest, purest form of prayer, and thus the most potent channel for communication across the veil. Gratitude is the sonic boom that breaks the perceived silence of separation. Can you honestly look at that empty space and feel the flood of profound thankfulness for the thousands of mundane moments, the perfect, unconditional love, the sheer, beautiful gift they gave you? As you sit in their space, allow the memories to surface, but immediately wrap every single one of them in deep thanks. This is not about talking to the air or speaking into the silence. It is about tuning your heart to the frequency of their continuous, joyful presence. When the feeling of overwhelming, flooding gratitude is strongest, when you feel that warm, unmistakable pressure or expansion in your chest, that is not merely a memory surge. That is the moment of undeniable contact. You are now embodying the recipient identity Cayce defined, not a heartbroken mourner, but a conscious, communicating spiritual partner. Will you commit 5 minutes tonight to trade the language of lingering pain for the dialect of eternal appreciation, knowing that this practice is the single most powerful way to hear the whispers of your eternal companion? This communion is the foundation upon which we will build the final, undeniable proof of the dog's divine purpose. You have walked the labyrinth of 7 sacred signs, and I know, without seeing your face, exactly where the lightning struck. You didn't simply listen to a story. You witnessed a mirror held up to your own deeply held unspoken truth. That cold knot in your stomach, the doubt, the fear that this beautiful reality is too good to be true, that resistance that tells you this entire experience must be dismissed as mere wishful thinking or grief-driven projection, X, is just the old terrestrial programming attempting to assert control. But the sudden warmth, the unshed tear, the absolute certainty that erupted when I named your precise, profound experience, why? That is the language of your soul, validating the eternal truth. The journey we undertook together ends not in passive understanding, but in sacred activation. You now possess the key to unlock perpetual communion with your eternal companion, but a key is useless if it remains tucked away in a closed pocket. I invite you now to step across the final threshold of knowing. This singular action I request is not a trivial digital response. It is a profound spiritual vow, your public commitment to embody the truth you have just received. If, in the past moments, one of these 7 undeniable signs vibrated through your entire being, if you felt the fur brush your leg, smelled the familiar irreplaceable scent, or heard the soundless reassurance that their presence is entirely real, then you must make your stand now. Your response must reflect the deepest quality of the relationship that continues, unbroken, across the veil of human sight. I ask you now to comment below the powerful sacred code word that defines this unbreakable spiritual contract, the word that holds the essence of their devotion, Leldade, loyalty. This single word is the marker. It tells the universe, and more importantly, it tells your cherished companion that you accept the continuation of your sacred covenant. You are no longer merely a spectator mourning a devastating loss, X. You are a conscious, empowered partner, celebrating an unbreakable Lealdade. Why? By commenting, you solidify your intention and send a clear, undeniable signal across dimensions. And if you know another gentle soul grappling with the deep, suffocating silence of grief, share this profound message, allowing them to transform their sacred heartache into honored communion. Subscribe now to continue this vital spiritual mapping, because the truth of Edgar Cayce's vision extends far beyond this single lesson, proving that the greatest evidence of eternal life is not what you see, but what you commit to do with the invisible truth. We have walked through the 7 profound signals that Edgar Cayce revealed: the warmth, the dreams, the sudden, undeniable scent of a presence that defies physics. You have witnessed the subtle signatures proving that your beloved companion has merely shifted dimension, not vanished into oblivion. But now, we must confront the ultimate question of identity. For too long, you have lived under the assumption that you are a survivor, a heartbroken person painstakingly trying to overcome an irreparable loss, treating grief like a debt that must eventually be paid off and forgotten. That perspective is a spiritual falsehood, a dense fog obscuring the ultimate reality of your connection. The truth I offer you now, the final, breathtaking shift in consciousness, is that you are not merely coping. You are the living, breathing sanctuary, the very architecture of consciousness that the purest form of unconditional love chose as its eternal home. Why? The deepest spiritual healing doesn't come from finding a way past the pain, but from recognizing that the pain is only the shadow cast by the infinite light of the bond itself. Your logical mind, trained by a world obsessed with ownership and physical boundaries, insists that love must possess a tether. It demands evidence of a contract, a geographical address, a concrete form held tight in your hand. This need to control the outcome is what generates the illusion of separation. But stop and feel the current reality in your chest. Have you ever been able to restrict that specific, fierce and selfless current of love that bound you to them? That quality possesses no timeline, no physical constraint, and certainly no end date stamped by tragedy. True spiritual love is the one currency that has no physical weight. It is not an emotion that needs to be chased or resurrected. It is the immutable law of your being. Love has no leash. It is untamable, unbound, and truly without end. Do you still see yourself as a broken piece, desperately searching for a phantom presence in the crushing silence? Or do you now understand that your heart is the very broadcast tower receiving that eternal frequency? The journey is now complete, but the practical work is just beginning. Practice this commitment. Stop trying to find them outside of yourself in the cold remnants of memory. Instead, tend to the house you are. Honor the sanctuary within you, knowing that every act of selfless love you perform is the most undeniable evidence of their presence. This recognition, that you are the permanent dwelling place for this eternal connection, is the greatest transformation you can achieve. The moment you embody this, you stop grieving and start communing. If this profound, identity-shifting wisdom resonated with the space in your soul where you keep your most treasured secrets, then know this spiritual mapping must continue. Subscribe now to affirm your commitment to this invisible truth, allowing us to delve into the next layer of Edgar Cayce's teachings, proving that the greatest evidence of eternal life is not what you see, but what you choose to become because of it. Choose identity over loss. Choose love over fear.